your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100+ globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100+ global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500+ multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100+ authorized training partners and 50+ universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000+ members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome.
Hello, dear participants. Thank you so much for joining today's session. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are watching this session from. I'll be sharing my screen so we can start with the session. Meanwhile, drop your locations where you are joining from. And allow me a minute so I can just quickly share the slides. Here we go. I hope you all can see my screen, and thank you so much for joining today's series, Enterprise Copilot AI in Action, Driving Productivity with Microsoft, GitHub, and Copilot Studio, with a theme that is empowering teams with a Copilot, the future of work enterprise at scale. My name is Preetham. I'll be here as moderator. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any question or concern. You can use the chat box for the same. And this is our incredible AI experts who will be joining us this week. And we have amazing sessions this week. And today is the last session of this week. So please do join us. I do have some upcoming week's announcement as well. So stay connected till the end. And before I could hand over the mic to our speaker today, would love to quickly introduce our hosting organization, those who have joined us for the first time. We're known as Global Skill Development Council. We are vendor agnostic, vendor neutral. We're globally recognized certification body, and we're accredited by ABICP. We do have 100+ certification portfolio with us, and we have certified more than 250,000 professionals worldwide so far. We have 500+ subject matter experts. Those are our industry experts. They help us with our exams, programs, and all the deliverables. Also, we do have 100+ authorized training partner. We are associated with 1,000+ multinational corporates, 500 Fortune companies, and 50+ universities across the globe. And as I mentioned that we do have 100+ authorized training partners. So yes, thanks to all our authorized training partner for supporting us, and those who have joined us through our training partner channel. In case if you're looking for any training program for yourself, feel free to reach out to our training partners to have an inquiry about it. I'll be sharing all the contact details shortly in the chat box. A special thanks to our official media partner, World Press Hub. They cover all our events and press releases. So I would love to quickly introduce you all to GSDC AI Studio, a platform where we are providing 100+ live sessions on AI monthly, which is led by global experts, where you'll be getting 4 daily session, which is 45 minutes of live impactful session along with the hands-on learning. And you can apply all the concept immediately that you have learned. And in case if you get any question or doubts or any queries, that will be resolved instantly with the help of our subject matter experts. So this training is aligned with the industry standards for the job ready skills. So get this opportunity as you'll be learning from the AI leaders around the globe. And if you want to access this, kindly get in touch with our learning advisors. I'll share the contact details shortly in the chat box. So as I mentioned that we do have 100 plus certification portfolio earlier in my slide. So this certification portfolio is specifically designed for all the professionals worldwide who want to upskill themselves or who want to stay industry relevant in this AI era, right? So we do have certification in all this domain, including learning and development, HR, generative AI, agentic AI, emerging technologies, also lead auditor, implementer, project management, PMO, agile DevOps, SRE, cybersecurity, digital transformation, and so on. So if you want to more about this certification program, you can get in touch with our learning advisors, or you can check our website for more information, which is mentioned below, www.gstcouncil.org. So what all benefits you'll be getting if you opt out a certification from GSTC? You can see the lifelong membership, certificate upgrade you'll be getting. Also, you'll be getting all free access to all our workshop, boot camps, and events. You'll be getting free access to all our exclusive learning program that we have. Along with that, you'll be getting implementation resources, speaker invites, and newsletter. So if you want to understand more about these benefits, feel free to reach out to our learning advisors. You'll find all the contact details in the chat box shortly. And without any further delay, I'm truly honored to welcome our today's speaker, AJ Ansari. And I would love to tell you all more about Ansari here. So he's a seasoned business leader and trusted advisor with nearly 20 plus years of experience helping organizations maximize the value of AI and ERP solutions. An 8-time Microsoft MVP across Microsoft Copilot Studio and Dynamics 365 Business Central. He is widely recognized for translating complex technologies into practical business outcomes. He currently serves as Chief Operating Officer and co-owner of DSY, a multi-award winning Microsoft partner recognized by the Houston Business Journal. Beyond his executive role, AJ is an active community contributor, speaker, and mentor, and hosts the only BCF Fans show, while contributing to onlycopilotfans.com, if I'm not wrong. So yes, thank you so much, Ajay Ansari, for joining us today, for sharing the insight on balancing innovation and compliance, navigating IT's AI governance dilemma. You can have the handover of the virtual mic now. Thank you.
Thank you, Pritam. Appreciate the introduction. I'll share my screen and my video momentarily. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody joining today, wherever you're joining from. I happen to be in Houston, Texas, in the United States. So we're just getting our Friday morning started as we head into a weekend of spring break for the kids. So it's going to be a nice long week coming up for all of us with family. As Preetha mentioned in our introduction, my conversation today is going to be about balancing innovation and compliance. I am an evangelist for technology, and I celebrate AI, and I travel all around the world, giving workshops on and boot camps on building agents with AI tools like Microsoft Copilot Studio. So naturally, I'm a supporter of all things artificial intelligence. But at the same time, I'm also an executive, and in my organization, one of the things that I am always concerned about, and as any business leader should be, is what does artificial intelligence mean for my organization in terms of security? What are potential risks, if any, that will arise from the use of AI technologies within our organization? And you have probably heard similar concerns if you talk to business leaders, and if you are one yourself. I think people are concerned about all kinds of issues. First, it was just hallucination. I think in very early days, everybody was concerned, is AI reliable? Is AI accurate? Is the information correct? And while that still remains a concern to some extent, I think by and large over the last 2 to 3 years, what we have observed is in many general domains, AI can be quite reliable. It is a quick way to get answers, probably quicker than your Google or Bing, in that it doesn't just give you websites as search results that you then have to go and poke through. It is quite a librarian for you, right? With retrieval augmented generation or RAG, the benefit is that whatever sources it plugs into or grounds into, or the web, it will retrieve information, it will kind of go through it, and will summarize that information in a way that you can act upon very quickly. And yet the other concerns that remain within organizations are around just access to your sensitive data, data loss, data leaks, and so on. And are the wrong people seeing information that they should not see? So that is the conversation we invariably have over and over again, and that is very much a dilemma of not just for leaders but also for the IT team, because the IT team is always tasked with mandate with rather bringing into action the mandate that comes from leadership. So they're the enforcers, if you will, of leadership vision, and they're the enforcers of leadership mandates, and so on. My name, once again, is AJ Ansari. I'm a Microsoft MVP for Copilot Studio and Business Central. As Preetham already introduced me for the most part, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Some passion projects. My podcast was mentioned, Only BC Fans, but more, I think, applicable in the AI space. The two things I always like to show and highlight. One of them is the AI clarity method. Over the last 2.5 to 3 years of meeting with partners and customers and having conversations around AI, from creating agents, from delivering boot camps and enablement sessions at partner organizations and end customer organizations, I have heard a lot of different people from a lot of different levels and organizations bring up concerns. And just as we're going to talk about the compliance issues today, there are also other issues. Mainly, one of them that often comes up. You'll laugh about it, but is rather true. It is we need AI in our organization. What should we do? And this "we need AI in our organization" question has been asked so many times that it makes me laugh a little bit. I might, as a technologist, certainly I love that question, but as a business leader, I'm a strong believer of this. That is how you're entering your organization's AI situation. You're going about it wrong. So the AI clarity method is designed to be a decision framework for business leaders, C-suite executives, decision influencers, that helps them understand that AI is not always the choice or the answer. And the goal is to first identify the pain points that exist within an organization, to then categorize those pain points across what I call the AI clarity quadrants, that can all the pain points can be mapped into, and then we come up with an executive execution plan for the projects that we will embark on. So you can learn more about the clarity method on claritymethod.ai. It is a framework that works for organizations of all sizes, primarily designed for enterprises, but it does work for smaller to medium businesses as well. And then on the AI side, education-wise, much like GSDC, I'm a big believer in AI education. As somebody on the Microsoft MVP side, we believe in sharing our knowledge. That is a big part of being a Microsoft MVP. You're an evangelist for, and you're an educator for the technologies that you support. AI and Copilot technologies from Microsoft are therefore near and dear to my heart. And Only Copilot Fans is my way of getting information and knowledge out to the community. So it's on onlycopilotfans.com. It is like a news tech site for anybody who's familiar with 9 to 5 Mac or Windows Central, etc. You're going to find all kinds of information about what's going on in the channel, and a lot of helpful tips and tricks. And then on the YouTube channel for Only Copilot Fans, I put up a lot of helpful how-to videos around Copilot Studio agent building. So go check those out if you're a maker or user of Copilot Studio or Microsoft 365 Copilot. Without further ado, we'll get started with my presentation. If you do have any questions, as Preetham mentioned, I think you'll have an opportunity to ask them. If you think about your questions after this session, take a look at that QR code that you're seeing on the screen. That QR code will take you to my LinkedIn page. You can search for me by name on LinkedIn, or you can scan the QR code, and that's a quick way for us to connect and engage. I welcome connections, I welcome conversations. So if you would like to continue the conversation after this presentation, please connect to me there, and we can. So if you have a moment to reflect on, or if we take a moment to reflect on the state of AI today, you can't really have that conversation without first recognizing how quickly it has become a part of our daily lives at home and at business. This particular chart has been from Microsoft in one of their keynotes, and they were kind enough to share that. This shows the adoption rates of some key technologies to 100 million users. Now, mobile phones came at a time, I'm in my 40s. Mobile phones, when I was in college, I think is when they started to become more prevalent. But still, they were harder to come by. Not everybody had them. But sometime in the late 90s, that uptick just started to happen very, very quickly. That adoption caught on fire, and everybody and your mom suddenly had a phone. It felt like we would have reached 100 million users rather quickly, but apparently it took 16 years to hit that mark. The internet, or more specifically, the World Wide Web, as we know it today, that took seven years to hit the 100 million user mark. Facebook, I was in college at that time. It was definitely in my later years of college. I felt that took the world by storm. And apparently that still took 4.5 years to get to 100 million users. But contrast LLMs. Now, when we talk about AI in today's context, we're always talking about generative AI. Artificial intelligence, in and of itself, has been around since the late 1950s, right? So this technology isn't new, but what we typically talk about AI today, we're talking about any kind of AI that is generative, and then naturally we're talking about LLMs, the large language models that help come up with the generative answers. So LLMs and this level of generative AI technology has only taken 3 months. And in a very short span of time, everybody from your grandmother and mine, and I think our children and our grandchildren and so on, all of them are comfortable with generative AI. And a big reason is that it allows us to converse with AI technology in a way that like we naturally talk to our friends and our colleagues and our family members. And I think this has fascinated many of people. It has certainly caught the attention of business people and consumers alike. And so naturally, when you have something that takes on fire so much, we use this everywhere. If you recall, or I know people from different parts of the world are joining, so maybe this isn't so commonly used. But in a lot of Western countries, you do have this concept of BYOB, or bring your own beer, when people go to parties, especially in colleges. And I think BYOB quickly translated into the workplace as BYOD, or bring your own device, when the rise of mobile phones, or smartphones specifically, started to happen. And so organizations had to battle with these devices that weren't just checking employee email, but very quickly had access to your files on OneDrive, or for your G Suite member, then they're through your storage and repositories. You have access to all kinds of things like your Teams or your Slack or your Zoom. And at some point, employers first did not care, then got really worried. Some companies started to issue out devices themselves to employees, and others started to come up with BYOD policies. So certain things, were required of people, whether this was just through technology enforcements, or whether this was through enshrining them inside of the employee handbook to help people understand what is and what is not acceptable. I actually have a follow-up session to this for anybody who's interested. Perhaps we can come back and do this with GSDC, and that is the Responsible AI Policy Guide session, and where I highlight what types of concerns you should address in them. What are you really looking to narrow down on? What should it look like at your organization? So then we had BYOD, as I was telling you the story, bring your own device. Now today we are battling with BYOAI, bring your own AI to the workforce. What is unfortunately happening in most organizations is that without the knowledge of, or without the consent of, oftentimes employers, employees bring in the same consumer grade AI tools that they use at home to the workplace. It's on their computers. It's available by a website. It's on their mobile phones, and they use it to also help them during the workday. So if we go back and we kind of start looking at what's happening in the workforce today with AI adoption levels, one of the things you will notice is, this is a challenge, by the way, when you try to have conversations around AI adoption. One of the challenges is that every source will give you a different answer. There is no global number for how many or what percentage of companies in the world are using AI at this point in time. It comes down to individual research and studies, and really anybody that's got more than 1,000 correspondents, that's usually considered a credible study. The minimal statistical size is 30, but I certainly wouldn't want to put any stock into a 30-person survey. But these sources that I'm going to highlight are mostly reliable sources. So according to Lyle Data, I live in the US, so when I was doing my research, I really just looked at US companies, except for one statistic. In the US, 61% of businesses are using AI in at least one business process. And I find it's really important to look at that last qualifier as you go through the different statistics. Those all tell some very different stories on what's happening. So at least 61% are using. But if you were to contrast that with, another study, 58% are of U.S. small businesses report generative AI use, but here it doesn't state which way they use AI. And this is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. A little more reliable. And so if you look at the left-hand side, they're probably looking at enterprise and mid-market and small businesses. And you do see almost skewing to a higher number. Enterprises will have more usage than SMBs. And then you compare that to another study, 9.2% of the US firms use AI. But if I were to stop there, you go, boy, that's such an outlier, right? But look closely at what happens next to produce goods and services. So they're not just using, we're not talking about the companies that are just using, ChatGPT and Copilot and name your favorite AI tools. They're actually, for research and for productivity purposes, they're actually using it to produce goods and services. And so their AI apps and their AI agents are helping them in the production of whatever it is that they sell and whatever services it is that they provide. And that is a more meaningful, I think, statistic than the others. And that is from the US Census Bureau. This last one is a global adoption survey. And this comes from McKinsey survey, McKinsey Consulting. But this came to me via another source, which was Exploding Topics. That is a kind of a marketing awareness mission that SEMrush provides through like studies and other web articles on the state of the marketplace. So 78% of companies or global adoption is seen with at least one business function. Now, so when you look at these numbers and you think about the BYO AI situation I was talking about, the question then becomes, boy, how many people are actually bringing in their devices and if the company doesn't know about them using it, that doesn't show up in some of these surveys. So this means that probably across all of these companies, you might have near 100% or 90+% adoption of AI tools. This just means these are what the companies are aware of. This is what's being reported as what we know to be true. Another couple of things that I want to highlight, becomes even more important. So if you are asking employees and you are asking them, hey, how are you getting access to the AI tools that you bring into the workplace? 35%, only 35% of employees say that their employer is paying for or reimbursing for AI tools. That means almost 7 in every 10 or 6 in every 10, depending on which side you want to round up or down, of people are getting their AI tools from them by themselves. They're probably getting free tools. Some of them might be paying. Hopefully they're using a reliable AI service provider. But most importantly, the problem is that they are probably uploading business sensitive data into that tool every single day. And whenever a solution is free, and if you haven't heard this before, if something in life is free, then you are probably the product because nothing in life is generally free. Think about Facebook. When you access Facebook, it may appear that you're getting access to that service ad-free or free entirely. But what Facebook is doing on the back end is it takes your data and it sells it to third-party providers and aggregators to the point where the people that use Facebook for advertising services probably know more about you than you know about yourself. They probably know where you like to eat. They probably know which way you vote. They probably know how many kids you have, and so on and so forth, because we share information and tidbits about ourselves every single day. So 6 in every 10 or 7 in every 10 people are bringing their own AI to work, BYO AI. And this continues on from the Exploding Topics study that I was talking about. And another about 11 or 12% said some tools are provided by employer and some by employee. This comes from the same report. Now, so if we're being very generous, maybe about half, about 50% overall have some kind of AI tools that are being provided by employers. Still not a very good place if you are a business decision maker. This should give you cause for concern. I would say, and this usually comes from my other session, that if you're a business leader and if you are not providing your team members with access to some kind of an AI tool. And if you're not defining what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, so acceptable use cases and more importantly, unacceptable use cases, if you're not thinking about creating a responsible AI policy guide, if you're a large organization, you should definitely do that. Smaller organizations may or may not need that. But if you're not doing it, don't think things are not happening at your workplace. So you should take it upon yourself to give your employees tools and then tell them if they're going to access any AI or related functionality, they should use your tools and they should use it in a way that is acceptable. So that is an important thing to consider. Now, a presentation wouldn't be a presentation without some case studies and some horror stories at times. So I wanted to highlight a couple right here for you, just so you get a sense for what happens out there in the world. One of them is the Deloitte Australia story. If you haven't heard it, and I think most people have, but for the few people who haven't, Deloitte, of course, one of the leading consulting firms in the world, they got into a project in Australia with the Department of Employment and Workforce Relations, and they were on a project where they were reviewing the government's targeted compliance framework. Now, they were they were reviewing IT code, and they had to give some recommendations. The contract itself was worth about 440,000 Australian dollars. And they used Azure OpenAI to analyze the code and to generate the report. This is where it got really interesting. AI hallucinated some of the citations. So whenever, by the way, you provide statistics, and as you saw in the last couple of slides, every single one of my statistics had a citation associated with it. That's one way to stay reliable. We used to do that in traditional writing as well, but especially in this world, it is really important so that you get a sense for where this information is coming from. Well, Deloitte tried to do the right thing, but they didn't verify or validate those citations that they had called on. And 12 references in that were to non-existent reports. These entire reports that were used as citations, the people, the teams, the reports, they were hallucinated by AI. They were non-existent entities and non-existent studies. This caused a lot of public embarrassment for Deloitte. And this caused not just embarrassment, but they also exposed them to a significant amount of legal liability. And they had to give back quite a significant amount of the money that they'd gotten for the project. Now, here's the trouble. The mistake was made by Deloitte, but the groups that will suffer are all of your peers. So if you're McKinsey or if you are a BCG or you're any one of those large consulting firms, every one of your large clients now is going to be wondering if you are doing the same thing, if you are quote unquote mailing in your homework and not doing the requisite checks and balances to make sure that this information that you're providing is valid. As it is, consulting firms have a little bit of a stigma about the way that they come up with persuading numbers, and now you marry that with these types of issues, and it really creates a credibility gap that organizations are going to bear with. And this is going to affect everybody down channel as well, because if you see something happening at such a high level, people think that every organization that is not as big is probably prone to making the same mistake. If Deloitte's making that mistake, you better believe this other consulting firm's possibly doing it too, and so on. Now, another forever a horror story is going to be around Air Canada. So I won't go into significant details with every single one of these examples, but I'll highlight a few things that are worth noticing. So Air Canada so most airlines, by the way, as you know, have a policy as to what they do if a flight is significantly delayed. And what kind of, will they give meal vouchers? Will they charge you a rebooking fee, et cetera, et cetera? Well, Air Canada got into a similar situation after they rolled out their AI agent, where after a significant delay, as I recall, the passengers that went to human agents that were at the airport were given one answer about policy, while passengers who went to their website and then chatted with your AI agent or the app and chatted with your AI agent got a different answer. There were higher benefits that were claimed to be available from the AI agent. The human agents disavowed that information. So they were taken to court over it. And in addition to the embarrassment caused, they were required to uphold the promises that were made by the AI agent. And this also tells you something really important. If you are going to use an AI agent to communicate on your behalf, if it is going to write emails on your behalf, if it is going to answer questions on your behalf, anything it says and does is going to be an obligation, much like your human employees making a claim about something that your company does or does not do. It is acting on your behalf. So it becomes significant or critical that you have what I would call a human in the loop situation, that there is a human that validates AI responses. Now, if you're building a chatbot or an agent, certainly you can't have every single response validated by a human. But that means for us that you're going to have to do significant amounts of testing and evaluations to make sure that the answers are consistent. And if you are creating an agent that autonomously does things like handles emails or handles end-to-end business process tasks, that you are at least giving some oversight and navigating through the difficult waters of testing and retesting and measuring and remeasuring to make sure that what it is doing is done correctly. Or if in the case of an email, quite literally providing oversight, or providing human in the loop. CNET experimented with using AI to write some of the articles, and they very quickly got found and got concerned with a lot of the quality issues and reliability of the matter and the content and the hallucination. Mata versus Avianca was a situation in which lawyers in a court case in New York used AI, and some of the things that AI had pointed out, some of the precedents and so on, those were non-existent, and it had hallucinated. And once again, this put them in a very difficult situation with the court judge. They were reprimanded, and so on. So there's nightmare stories abound. If you look for 12 more, you'll probably find 20 more. So what is the answer to this then, right? Is the answer that we just lock everything down? Is the answer that we shut down access to AI entirely and put it in our employee handbook that AI use is not allowed, and then we move on? Well, naturally, the answer is no, but I'll also give you a few answers why the answer should be no. Even in pre-AI days, I want you to think about some interesting situations. One with 3M. So 3M was making an adhesive product, and the adhesive product that they were making actually turned out to be not nearly as strong. Well, one of the engineers decided to use it to stick some papers to each other. And at first, that product really didn't make a difference. They weren't going to take it to market. Nobody really believed in it. But internally at 3M, that product started to become so popular, the demand for it was so high, they decided to test it out in the marketplace. And lo and behold, we all know Post-its. Everybody's used one, even if you've not used the 3M brand. The sticky notes have become a part of every single office, every teacher's office. Even at home, we probably use them on our refrigerators and everything to remind us of the things we need to do. Entire task boards are made to look like or made to function like Post-it notes. And in fact, in some organizations, when I've gone to the back office or when I've gone to the production floor, I have seen literally Post-it notes on whiteboards that basically highlight all the things that need to be done. So if you were to lock innovation down, this is one type of example of what could happen. You would have no Post-its in the world today, or you would have no Gmail, because Gmail itself was also a garage project within Google. This wasn't a mandated R&D project. This was something that somebody did within Google, and then next thing you know, it's taken over the world. Or Sony PlayStation. Sony has today become synonymous with gaming. But before the PlayStation, they were synonymous with very reliable electronics products, right? They were one of the premium electronics products manufacturer, and one of the engineers was working with Nintendo on some gaming technologies. And what the Sony team's reaction to that was is very negative. They're like, we did not want to be associated with gaming, and they thought it was basically going down channel. Well, as it would happen, you would we all know that PlayStation is now one of the two or maybe the leading gaming console out there for premium AAA titles, and eventually they did see the light of day. And there are many, many more examples, from Shopify Magic to Bloomberg GPT to GitHub Copilot, Gmail Smart Reply, and the next shadow project at your company that you may not know about. And so shadow projects or shadow AI projects are projects where the managerial team or the leadership team does not know that people within the organization are working on. It may just be starting, it may have progressed really far. And so we would, and many projects that just would not have seen the light of day did become big products because leadership, even if at first resisting this innovation, eventually realized that innovation and put that into the marketplace. So locking down is not an option. When we talk about anything like an AI technology, we've got to weigh the benefits and we've got to weigh the risks, right? So some of the benefits, the key benefit that I first started off on both benefit and the risk, the biggest benefit with AI is going to be productivity improvements. Productivity, productivity, productivity. And the biggest risk is going to be data leakage. I think most leaders are concerned about that. What happens if I upload my proprietary formula into an AI tool? What happens if I upload my customer list to the AI tool to analyze, or my financials? Will my competitor see it? Or if you're in a certain type of industry, will the government become aware of this information, and so on? So we're always worried about our data, our know-how, leaking out to and reducing the competitive edge that we have. If you also consider other benefits, there's automation. While AI and automation can be considered separate things, there is a lot of AI enhanced automation that happens. And then finally, where true profitability happens, it is when you hit the competitive edge. And this is where you're increasing revenue because of using AI tools, or you are decreasing your costs, or you're increasing profitability overall, regardless of how you do it. And when you think about risks, anytime you have data leakage or any kind of negative situation happen, you are exposing yourself to legal liabilities, and more importantly, to reputational damage. Legal liabilities can cost you real money. Reputational damage, you sometimes can't put a dollar amount to it, or whatever currency you want to consider, and you cannot put an amount to it. You can't quantify it, because this can last with an organization for many, many years, and it can be a stumbling block, an obstacle to their organization's growth in the marketplace. When leaders were asked about their top security and governance concerns, 80% of leaders cited leakage of sensitive data as their primary concern, right? Data oversharing and data leaks. And when you consider identification of risky AI use, that was another one. 41% of them leaders cited this as a key concern, because they are worried about what kind of queries are going into AI, right? And 84% of the respondents here said that AI governance and risk visibility was a concern for them. They want to feel more confident about managing and discovering data input into AI apps and tools. So it is, across the board, over 8 out of 10 leaders are telling that data oversharing and leaks keep them up at night. So when you think about these situations, you kind of look at it and you go, clearly, we've got to address the matter of access to data predominantly first, and then we've also got to access what type of information is being queried, or what type of users who are most likely to break the norms, break the laws, and maybe take business data out into a public LLM and try to upload it there to do analysis and whatever it is they want to do. So as we continue this conversation on, and then we're seeing a lot of statistics, what I want to do is I want to get into some ideas of elements of AI governance and start introducing them, because we're talking about balancing innovation. Clearly, we have identified that stifling innovation is not the option. So if we're not going to stifle innovation, what type of governance are we going to bring in? What are the things, the key tenets or elements of AI governance that we need to think about? Well, I've kind of put them in 4 key squares, or 4 key tiles. And one is policy and standards. So whether it's through responsible AI policy guides, whether it's through setting standards within the organization as to what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And most organizations have some level of standards today in the workplace anyways. And it's just a matter of extending those standards to also address AI needs and concerns. The other, as we saw in the last slide, data privacy, data leakage, access to data, those are important concerns for business leaders. So data privacy and security is going to be really important. One of my friends in a group that I'm a part of, it's a professional association called IAMCP, or the International Association of the Microsoft Channel Partners. So a friend of mine over there, in a presentation, used the word security by obscurity to define what people and organizations would do in an era prior to AI. A lot of times people would store files on public repositories in the organization, and if they were not fully aware or didn't quite know how to apply security settings or were just frankly a little lazy about it, what they would do is rename that file, put it within 2 or 3 folders deep, and just pray and hope that nobody got it, right? Maybe even hide that file. And because most of the lexical search tools that were there, and for those of you who are not familiar with lexical versus semantic, lexical is where it quite literally looks for whatever word it is that you're searching. So if you think about the word bank, it would look for the bank of a river or a financial institution that's a bank and so on. Whereas a semantic search understands the context of what it is that you're searching. And if you're talking about financial topics and then you say bank, it is going to know and understand that you're talking about the bank, not the bank of a river, but a bank where you store money and you have business financial transactions with. So with lexical tools, if you search for something, if it was hidden, that tool may not find it. If you rename the file, that tool might not find it because some tools were not actually looking at file content. However, with AI, generative AI tools, when they search and they're doing a semantic search, after all your data has been vectorized, at that point, it frankly doesn't care what the name of the file is. If the file security permissions are not set to disable it from searching that, or if the user has not been restricted from searching certain files in certain areas, the AI tool is just able to crawl through all of that information a lot faster, make sense of it faster, and deliver answers faster. So where a human, even malicious human, may have taken years upon years to find something that is hidden out of plain sight in a different file name because organizations frankly have a lot of files, an AI search tool could probably uncover them in seconds, if not minutes, or minutes, if not seconds. So that becomes really important. You have to apply proper security policies, right? You have to make sure that you are creating governance by starting first with data readiness and preparation. Then you have tool approval and vendor management. This is an important concept, an important element of AI governance. Which applications are you going to use? So I've used the word ChatGPT in a negative way so far a few times, but I should highlight why I have done that. I am not opposed to ChatGPT, the tool, or OpenAI, the publisher. But ChatGPT, at the end of the day, is a consumer grade tool. They do have business solutions. So unless your organization is paying for the business version of ChatGPT or a business version where they can not only set some access policies, they can control, and if you leave, they control the subscription and you're not leaving with that information when you leave a business. If that is not happening, and all you've given people is access to go sign up for ChatGPT with your Gmail address or with your personal email, that is going to be a real problem. So the companies need to choose a tool, whether it is a tool from Microsoft, because I'm a Microsoft shopper, right? I naturally think of all things Microsoft. So whether it is you're getting M365 Copilot, which is designed for the workplace, or whether you're getting a ChatGPT business subscription, whatever it is, they have to decide what the tools are. If you're using AI for productivity use, which AI tools or apps are acceptable? Who are the vendors? Do we have a problem with certain vendors? Today, for instance, the United States government, for whether you agree with it or not, for instance, has identified Anthropic as a high risk to supply chain, right? And their tools are not allowed to be used in the governmental agencies in the United States at this point, at least for the foreseeable future. So does your organization identify certain providers as non-reliable, right? And so you then be told not to use any tools from those sources. Then ethical considerations. Really, anytime an organization sets into a standard like the Employee Handbook Guide, you will see that paramount are concerns of ethics. We all know do not break the law is it goes without saying, right? Do not commit a criminal offense. But outside of criminal offense, we are also very concerned about other issues, human factor issues, fairness. Make sure that you are not discriminating against somebody else at your workplace and do not harass fellow coworkers and so on and so forth. Do the right thing, even if the right thing is not enshrined in law. So ethical considerations are even more important on the AI side. If you are building an AI tool or a solution, or if you're using an AI tool, Is this tool going to meet ethical standards? Is this tool going to have bias, discriminate against certain people in the organization, et cetera, et cetera? So those are always going to be important. Now, these are the four elements of AI governance, but a capstone to it, if you will, is human oversight. Because you could put all of those things into effect, but if you do not actually follow that up with human oversight, you're really not going to have real governance take place. So what I'll do is move into a slightly different view of AI governance. And this, instead of looking at it the other way, I want you to think of this as not an on-off switch, but a dial. All right. There's a spectrum across which AI governance happens. And on the left-hand side, I've got internal considerations, and on the right-hand side, I've got some regulations and industry standards that you need to be aware of. So the general security considerations, this is by definition generic, whatever those security considerations may be at your organization, right? That is going to be important. But most importantly, you also have organizational rules and policies that you want to make sure are being met. So common sense considerations, securing your files, make sure that different people have access to different levels of things, who is allowed to build experiences, who is allowed to build AI apps, what level of your company's knowledge and tools and so on are they going to have access to. And then from organizational rules and policies, we'll move to something a little more, external. And this is in the United States, NIST is a federal governmental framework for risk management. And so while non-federal agencies are not required to hold themselves to that standard, this is a lot of common sense standards that have been put out there. There's also some ISO standards that are out there. What NIST is used for is federal government agencies. They have some list of regulations they need to meet. Contractors and other orgs do not. But I would recommend that everybody take a read and see what that can do for your organization. And then you also have GDPR. I forgot to put in the EU AI Act, actually. That is probably even more important than GDPR in this context. The EU AI Act has real teeth, right? It is going to penalize financially to different amounts in different European countries because every nation sets its own penalties. The makers of AI or providers of AI services in Europe, as well as non-European entities who cater to and do business with European entities. So the EU AI Act, even if you don't live in the European Union, is going to be very impactful. And then other types of privacy concerns like HIPAA in the healthcare space in the United States. So as you see, there's a whole load of spectrums, things that you want to do and things that you are required to do because of the industry that you might be in or the region or area that you're in. And a lot of countries are going to start coming up, if they haven't already, with your own set of AI rules on what is acceptable and what is not. And you're going to have to make sure that you comply. Otherwise, you could be running afoul of regulations. Whenever you talk about AI and you talk about governance, you got to see it from three angles. It's not two sides of a coin. This is three sides. So you have leadership that sets the policies and they decide the risk appetite. They have the vision for what you want to do, but you don't interact with them. If you are talking about governance, once it's done, they're insulated and isolated from everybody else. The administrative side, which is the IT department, as well as the human resources department, they implement the policies. One does it through setting security policies. The other side is going to be the one that kind of creates the guidelines and the handbook and adjudicates when something is wrong. And a lot of organizations, when they have the situation and something goes wrong, the users and the makers, they blame them because they are the ones who are actually implementing leadership vision, right? So as this slide points out, is blaming them is like blaming the referee. And then on the last side, you have users, the builders. They work in the zones. I'm going to talk about a zone concept that I got from Microsoft. I'll briefly touch on it. Looking at the time, I think we might go a little bit long if I touch all the zones in great detail. But I'm going to briefly introduce you to them so we get a sense of what's going on. Now, I also want to come back to that four quadrant type of approach I had before and look at it from a slightly different perspective, all right? We're going to fit a different but equally important perspective. But before I do that, I want to remind you that when it comes to compliance, at the end of the day, no matter what kind of tool you put in, no matter what kind of policy you put in, compliance is driven by people. So people either choose to comply or choose not to comply. And innovation is driven by people as well. I have a 7-year-old child and a 7-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. My 7-year-old child, when he does not want to do something, he will not do it, right? And he's very stubborn. But here's what's very interesting. Increasingly, both my 7-year-old and 12-year-old, when they don't want to do it, they will feign compliance, right? They'll pretend like they're complying, but in the areas where they can get away with things, they will do it. And I know you and I have done that as well. I joke because we have, some cameras in the room as parents, responsible parents. It's quite normal here. And my son knows where the camera doesn't see. And if he wants to do something, he wants to stay up at night reading a book instead of going to sleep, he'll probably do it in a corner where he can't be seen. Or if he needs to be cleaning his room and wants to play with his toys, he will do that in the corner, so on. So no matter what type of rules you put in, no matter what kind of tools you put in, you've got to get people on board to comply. And it starts with open and clear communication. So from a leadership perspective, it is not just about setting the policies in, it is about communicating clearly the why. What is the reason? What is the leadership vision behind these policies that are there? You got to then enshrine them into a responsible AI use policy guide and explain to them that this is not about just talking at them and shackling them, but this is a reference guide. This will help foster innovation because when they want to create a new AI experience that could be to the benefit of your organization or your customers, if they want to start using AI apps, this is going to help them understand the constraints within which they can operate. So the goal here is not to lock everything down. The goal here is to create balanced innovation, balanced governance, so that they can see these are things we can do. This is the way, if I need to get access to a tool, this is how I should requisition, and this is what the process to get approval. And then there is training and regular checks. So training, enablement, they're not the same thing. Enablement is really important, but training, periodically and regular checks on if people are actually following through on what is supposed to be done. And then finally, as large organizations, it is really important, or for large organizations, it's very important to consider having an AI council. So what is an AI council? I'm not going to go into too much depth here, but I'll define it for you. A lot of times, as you saw on the last screen with the three different personas, the leaders, the IT, and the kind of the referees and the users and the makers, the policies are set at the leadership level and enforced by the admins, the IT and the human resources people. But the missing element in those decisions is the makers and the users in the trenches. And so when they're not part of those discussions, a lot of times whatever tools are adopted and whatever is approved will not get used. You will see lack of adoption of those tools and so on, or people just will not be significantly aware. An AI council allows you to bring leadership, some people from the admin side and some people from the user side. Clearly, you cannot have everybody in there because if everybody's there, then nothing gets done. No conversations will proceed. You also can't have people that are just coming in and out when they need, coming to an AI council. The process should be that this is a governing body, a small number of people, representative from all three sides of the organization. And over there, they will make decisions on what happens. They will help inform the use policy guides. They will help adjudicate and maybe even help change some of the things in here. They will change or allow for training to happen and better regular checks. And when the organization has pain points, when things happen, everybody in the org can submit pain points to the council and the council will review and adjudicate. And so this is going to be really important. And then on top of this, the fifth element would then be the tools that we will use in AI. So those tools will exist. That's important, but this part is so important because it's all people and human driven. As I start to wrap up, I've got about 3 or 4 more slides, Pritam. Allow me that, and then I'll go into Q&A. And so I'm going to fast forward a few slides, but I do want to show 2 really quickly. The problem with AI, and I'm going to look at it from the agentic AI side because I spent a lot of my time there. The next couple of slides are actually from Microsoft, and they were kind enough to let me borrow it. With an ungoverned agent, you can actually have emails that are sent on your behalf to anybody in your name, and now you're responsible. It can call external APIs, any endpoint, any data that you've given it access to, and perform actions. It can access company data, it can make decisions and act without approval if you don't have human in the loop. And it can make real damage happen, reputational damage. When it works great, it is great, but when the first accident happens, it can it can really cause ruinous consequences. And you're hoping every day that the agents will just behave. So you need human oversight at all times. Compare that with another technology like Excel, where a person builds a file, the team starts to use it. Yes, now we have a headache in its own right because it may not be management mandated, but when the whole organization relies on it and there's nobody who's around to manage it, and the person who made it didn't really plan for that to happen, and it's impacting the org, that was bad. But here's a problem: the Excel file only affects the people using the Excel file. It can't call APIs, it can't send the emails, it can't make decisions on its own. And the damage that can be done is very contained compared to the potential damage of a rogue AI agent or a improperly planned AI agent. Whenever I talk about balancing innovation and governance, it's important to look at it as the agent maker is always thinking, how can I build an agent that will do something on my behalf or can drive efficiency? And the leadership side, on this side, the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, how can I understand all my data security risks? How do I discover agents? Want to look at all of those. And there's tools from Microsoft like Agent 365 for agent registries, right? How can I ensure right access and prevent data exfiltration or stay compliant? And the CIO is basically how it's all about rules, following guidelines. How can I get visibility? And how can I drive cost efficiency and ROI? And so the next few slides, I'm going to fast forward and get to the last slide here that is part of all of this. And that I want you to consider things from a three-zone model that Microsoft has created. And this helps you take any AI project, any AI app, any AI agent, and break them down into three different levels from left to right. On the left-hand side is a green zone, which is low risk. It is for innovation where personal productivity is allowed. People are going to have access to tools that will allow them to do with AI what they're able to do themselves. So if they have access to something with UI, they'll be able to do this over here. So it's wonderful. And if it affects something, it's only going to affect them in the way that your rights and permissions would allow. But as you move to the yellow or the medium risk space, which is IT approved makers and pro developers come in over here, and they're going to build solutions. It is going to require IT oversight. This could be citizen developers or professional developers, but you have to at this point start thinking about application lifecycle management. And you do have to look at getting approval from the AI Council for these activities. These cannot happen in a vacuum. And this will then lead us to the right side, the enterprise zone. This is where CapEx spend is involved. The organization is going to be spending real money on all of this to make these projects come to life. When these projects are successful, it could cause real profitability improvement, cause increase in revenue, decrease in costs. But when they fail, it could spectacularly affect the company's future. Mission critical stuff. So you do not go into this, without care. And you really have to look at, from a technological perspective and from an enforcement perspective, this with a very fine lens. And you can only be approving so many of these projects at a time. And you have to consider what the usage limits are for all the AI tokens you're going to use, the costs involved. And there's many more things at play when you have that. So I'm going to skip through a few more and I'll start wrapping up with what happens when IT and innovation intersect. So I want to leave you with a feel-good story. For those of us in the United States, we may not be familiar with Orange or just know them as a telecoms company. And I think across the world, though, they're globally known. And they had an internal team that had unofficially started a project. And I don't know if it's called Dinu 2 at that point in time as well. And it was a secure multi-LLM platform. So they ended up going through the IT leadership review eventually, and leadership did approve it. So even though it started unofficially, it did eventually get compliance and IT acceptance. And in addition to education and training, they also kind of bound team members with contractual assurances against misuse of these tools, because there was a lot of potential and a lot of potential for good and bad. There was a grassroots level effort to explore generative AI in a very safe manner while still enabling team members. They focused on end-to-end security and not just the functionality of the multi-LLM platform. But what's really cool is when it finally went live, this brought great productivity to the organization. Furthermore, they were able to now lead this to an industry-wide deployment for their customers where it's actually bringing them revenue. So done right, this doesn't just create satisfied employees who are able to reach, kind of attain what they want to do in the organization and get productivity enhancements, but the innovations of your organization could actually lead to increased revenue and profitability for your organization. I want to thank you for the opportunity here and the chance to present to a GSDC audience, Pritam, to you and to all of your colleagues for making this possible. I'm going to open up the floor for any questions. Once again, if you are unable to ask questions today, you can find me on my QR code down there on LinkedIn. You can email me as well, but I recommend LinkedIn as a better approach. I'm going to open up the floor, Preetham, if you'd like to take any questions from audience members.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, first of all, for sharing such a wonderful session today and your insight on this one of the important topic. And I'm definitely, I'm sure that the people will love today's session as I can see the appreciation that we are getting over the chat box. So thank you so much, Ansari, for being here today for this today's session. And as you're open for the Q&A, and yeah, thank you for sharing the QR. I have already shared the LinkedIn profile link in the chat box. So dear participants, feel free to reach out to him. It seems like he have a lot of information. As I can see, a lot of slides were there and he was completing in that very short time. So make sure to reach out to him if you have any further question, concern, or anything that you want to discuss about today's topic, right? So drop your question if you have any. And that said, I can see we have got one question from Girish. So I'll be reading it for you. I hope you don't mind.
Please
Yeah.
do.
So the question is, while as a part of AI governance, we do a lot of advocacy, how do we make people compliant? It's quite a big question. So there are like two questions, I guess. So this is the first question. Do you want me to break it out or just read it in a one go?
Sure, as you wish. I'm fine with it. I'm also looking at the question in the chat. I found it as you were reading it, so I'm reading it too. But for everybody else's benefit, if you just want to read out
Sure.
the whole thing, that is just fine.
Okay, so I'll read in one go. While as a part of AI governance, we do a lot of advocacy. How do we make people comply? One of the things that are toying with is marriage between data classification, data tagging, and web data filtering to prevent employees from deliberately or inadvertently, I'm sorry for the pronunciation, putting regulated data into these AI tools. But this is huge project with massive cost implications. Are there tools or processes used in the regulated industries to make people comply?
I'll tell you what, I can't answer that last part of the question, which is, are there tools or processes used in the regulated industries, right? Are there tools and processes? There are. Are they being used today? I cannot answer that. I would certainly hope that some large organizations are using those and they're making sure they're adding a safeguard. So to get back to the specific part of the question, right? How do you make people comply? And you saw there was that one slide I had where, and before that slide, I talked about my kids. And one of the problems that is true is no matter what you do, people will choose to or not choose to comply. But here's what you can do. When people refuse to comply consistently, then you add safeguards. Or maybe you add safeguards preemptively as well. And in the case of safeguards, you probably have to then use tools that will allow those safeguards to exist. So classification, data tagging, web data filtering, etc. Right? So one of those things is definitely there. The other is if we're talking about people using files or uploading files in certain places, adding workflows that they require approval before they're generally available to everybody. Maybe utilizing tools that will disallow certain files and so on from being used as knowledge sources. So if you're using a technology that allows you to ground queries within ground queries on documents from the Microsoft Graph, for instance, because again, as a Microsoft partner, I think about it from that perspective. We have something called the Microsoft Graph, which is the collective knowledge of everything in your tenant, the files, the data, and so on. And that can be tagged for security. It can be given security permissions. There are DLP, data loss prevention policies, and so on that you can set for all of it. And then when you have an AI tool, as a general standard, if the user has permission to that knowledge source, that tool, with your own level of permissions, they would be able to access that. But you can limit access to those things so that they cannot plug into certain knowledge sources. You can limit actions to or access to tools or connectors of data within there, so the users, even though they may have access to it through the UI, that they do not have indirect access to it through AI tools. Could limit the channels of deployment for these solutions. So if they're building an agent or an app, where does this app live? Where does this agent live? Especially with agents, if you're using Microsoft tools like Copilot Studio or Foundry, you could limit how they're deployed. In Copilot Studio, for instance, you can deploy into a variety of different channels. You can look to restrict that. So the real challenge is, are you going to limit everything from the get-go? Are you going to leave things very open from the get-go? And then how do you proceed? Because there's a real risk that if you limit everything, then you are probably going to be stifling innovation and people will give up very quickly. Again, going back to my kids as an example, and you'll understand in a second why I'm doing this. In the United States, most children are given laptops from their schools. And so these laptops are heavily, heavily locked down to the point where it regulates which websites they can go to and so on. And they have access to one AI tool, which is Google Gemini. I don't know why Gemini in particular, but they do. And I was invited to present a session on creating agents with Gemini, or I think they call them gems in the Google world. And when I started to do my homework, I did it on an open gem environment. And when I went to the school's environment, I noticed very quickly the ability to connect to most knowledge sources was limited. The ability to connect to most tools was limited. And I quickly understood why. Just because it can be done doesn't mean it's safe for that audience to be doing it. So your organization too could be doing something like that. And I think if you're in a heavily regulated industry, then you almost need to start from a very strict situation. If you're in an unregulated industry, you can start from a permissive position and then start locking down, and then look at individual bad actors for education, or even compliance, or consequences, which am not always a big fan of, but sometimes you have to put in consequences to make sure those actions are not repeated. But ultimately, as you find some gaps, you might want to start closing them down. It is at the end of the day a dial, as I talked about, and not an on and off switch. So that is the answer to the two-pronged question. I think there's another one here from Madhu. Can AI governance be an option for employment? If yes, which certificate would be good? That's actually a wonderful question. I should have done my homework in that. I imagine it is. I imagine that would be either a role in the IT department, and so this would probably be at an enterprise level company. Small businesses will typically not have very many people in IT. It's one person or two people, and so they're tasked with all kinds of enforcement and AI moderation, if you will. And if you are looking on the HR side, similarly, I think in small organizations, there's only one HR person. Mid-level organizations may or may not. They may still not have somebody specifically for AI. They would see that as a larger umbrella. But if you get into enterprise companies, there is bound to be a role within either human resources or IT, if not by that title, certainly by one of the responsibilities. But I don't quite have an idea from a salary survey perspective, how that would be compensated. So now you've given me some homework, Madhu, and I'm gonna be doing some homework and see what I can find there. Preetham, did I miss any other questions that I should answer?
No, I didn't think so. The another question is for me, I guess which
Sure.
is came from Banyong. So regarding the session recordings, kindly get in touch with our learning advisors, because all the recordings and the study material, everything will be available on our official platform. So I'll be sharing our learning advisors contact details here right away in the chat box. So feel free to reach out to them. They're always there to help you all with the session recordings and the PPT as well. And that said, I cannot see any further question in the chat box. So before I take the handover back, AJ, we would love to hear final thoughts from you for all our participants who joined us today.
Well, my first final thought is first final. That seems like an interesting one. But first, I want to thank you once again, Preetham. Thank GSDC for the opportunity. You have a wonderful focus on education, and I can see how passionate you are about it in the way you described it, and clearly all these people that are joining care about this as well. The other thing I want to highlight is if you have one takeaway from this particular presentation, it's got to be my presentation is not about locking things down. My presentation's just about creating a controlled environment so that your organization can truly benefit from AI and can get benefit from AI without creating liability for your organization. And I think that is got to be the tone and the mindset, regardless of the type of organization you have. Like I said, I am a huge user of AI myself. I'm a maker. I create agentic AI experiences, very passionate about it. When I was the first employee doing it at my organization, certainly did not think about governance and compliance or any of those. Maybe I had the luxury of doing it because I'm also one of the owners. But I think back, if that was somebody else in my team that had started to do that and I had no interest and passion in AI, boy, would I be scared. Boy, would I be scared, right? So I'm glad we're having these conversations and continue to have these conversations. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful thoughts, and we are glad to have you for today's session, and we look forward to have more collaborations and more sessions with you. So soon I'll be getting in touch with you for another session. And thank
I
you,
would
dear
love that.
participants. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, dear participants, for attending today's session and asking such a wonderful questions. And I request you all to please stay connected till the end. I do have some quick announcement for all of you. So would you mind if I share my screen?
Please do. I'm going to stop sharing mine.
Thank you very much. And this is regarding the 2 days feature certification, as we have got in the chat box. Kindly get in touch with our learning advisors and explore the all certifications that we have for all of you. So here some of the certification that I'll be announcing. You can find the certification AI Foundation, AI Tool Mastery and Agentic AI, AI Domain Specialist, AI Strategic Integrator, AI Guardian, AI Change Evangelist, and Leadership Advocate. So if you want more information regarding this and to want to understand all the benefits with this certification, reach out to our learning advisors. You'll find the contact details in the chat box. And also you can use this promo code, which is AI20, to get 20% discount. And of course, this offer is valid for certain period of time. So grab this opportunity, do sign up yourself for the certification program. And this is regarding the utility tool. I have already shared the link in the chat box. So what this tool is about, those who have joined us for the first time. So I've been announcing this tool. We have recently introduced in the GSTC, where you can use this AUG100 as a code to get 100% off. So this tool will help you to level up your profile. It will help you to improve your LinkedIn profile score, your AI skills score. Also, it will help you to build your personal brand and help you to create AI generated resumes as well. So this tool has a lot of amazing benefits. You can check this out and do let us know how you're finding this off, or there's any feedback, or in case if you face any issue while checking this tool, kindly let me know on my email address. You can write to me directly and I'll make sure to get it checked with our technical team. You can write to me at preetham@gsdcouncil.org. You'll find the utility link in the chat box. So do try this, as we have got amazing responses from our previous participants who have used this so far. And I'm very happy to make this announcement that today we'll be having this amazing panel discussion, which is featured on the Women's Day. The topic is the designing biased resilient learning system, the role of AI in advancing women's career. We'll be having this amazing women who is expert in AI. They'll be joining us to share their insights on this topic. So do join us. Make the note of the time slot, which is happening at 9:30 a.m. according to Central, 11:30 p.m. Singapore, 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and 10:30 a.m. Eastern. This is happening today, 6th March 2026. You'll find the registration link in the chat box. If you just scroll up a little bit, you'll find the registration link for this. If you could not find, let me know. I'll share that again. And I'm very happy to make this announcement for our upcoming week. We'll be having the continuation of this AI Enterprise series. And we have this incredible speaker schedule for the next week from 9 to 13th March 2026 with the same time slot that you have joined right now. Let me announce this as well. 7:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. Singapore, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and 8:30 a.m. Eastern. You'll find the registration link for this as well. So do join us for AI that delivers unlocking business value with Enterprise Copilot. And this is another continuation of our learning and development series, building future ready skills, strong leaders, and business impact. We have these industry experts who will be joining us to share their insight for the upcoming week from 9 to 13th March 2026 with a different time slot, that is 9:30 a.m. Central, 11:30 p.m. Singapore, 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and 10:30 a.m. Eastern. You'll find the registration link for this series as well in the chat box. And this is another series on ISO that will be conducting in the GSDC for the next week. We have this incredible experts will be joining us to share their insights on the ISO leadership reset, building a resilient, secure, and accountable enterprise. Do join us at 8:30 a.m. according to Central, 10:30 p.m. Singapore, 8 p.m. Indian Standard, and 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm sure that it is quite confusing about the time zone, so make sure to make a note of it, and you can also check in the chat box that I've shared all the registration link for all the webinars that I'm announcing currently. And also I have shared the WhatsApp group as well. And this is our referral champions who have referred maximum people to our this specific series. Let's congratulate to them and appreciate them for taking the efforts, referring people to a session like this, like knowledgeable and powerful session. It is something we are taking step ahead to become thoughtful leader by referring people, isn't it? So you still have a time, as we'll be announcing all the final winners at the end of this webinar series. So do refer maximum people and be winner, as top 3 winners will be getting 400, top 3 winners will be featured on the GSDC Wall of Fame, and all the winners who get 50 or more than 50 points will be getting back to all those winners for the rewards, which is worth $400, right? So in case if you're looking for any speaker opportunity at GSDC, as I'm happy to share you all that we do have a global platform like Learning Capsule, webinar, and podcast. So feel free to share your speaker profile with us. You'll find the contact details where you have to send. You can send it to me directly at preetham@gsdcouncil.org. I'll make sure that is getting reviewed by the management and will get back to you with the speaker opportunity in case all criteria gets met. And this is our social media networking where you can connect with us over LinkedIn, WhatsApp to check daily update on event webinar bootcamps that we often post all our announcements there. Also, we do have the WhatsApp community group as well, where we do post all the new launches of certification programs. So please stay connected with us over the social media as well. And thank you so much for joining today's session and supporting us throughout the week. I hope to see you all for the upcoming live sessions as well. Until then, take care of yourself, keep learning, and happy weekend. Thank you very much, Ajay and Sari. I'll see you again. Bye-bye, everyone.